Hello, this is Gerald Avavas. I have a method with which you can understand each letter as an orientation, and the combination of letters not just make a combined orientation, it also tells you where to look at, where to find actually the subject that we are describing with these words. And it would be nice, of course, to have some examples how we do that and how this works with words that have different meanings. And that makes it quite interesting because you have a structure, and just a little bit of changing of focus already can make quite a difference. And that's how kind or kind will be a very good word, because it has about 3 different meanings. The first meaning is that one of the kind of, or the sort of, the kind in that way. The second meaning is kind of, like being kind, being gentle, and so on. And you also have the German word, for instance, Kind, which is exactly pronounced as it is written, and that means child. So 3 completely different meanings should all be able to be derived to one focus or structure with which we actually make up the associations of the word that is meant here. And let's have a look how this structure appears and how we interpret this structure easily to go to a sort of, to gentle, or to child. And the whole theory is based upon orientations into a rhythmical variation actually of focuses. So you have one focus, 2 focuses, or you have this 1, 2, 3 option where you have to where you want to find actually the actual focus that we need. We need this 1, 2, 3 region, so that we have the correct time and place at the same time. One focus is enough to localize something in space. 2 focuses are needed when we need to time things, because then we need a beginning and an ending. And the whole rhythm of choices that you can have from middle to the borders, from 1, 2, 3 options each time in these sections, you come to actually 9 positions into 1 focus, 9 positions into 2 focuses, and 9 positions into 3 focuses, and you have all the basic letters. And that's how I base myself upon this. You have pinpointings, directions, or you have an orientation in definitions in that way, so that you can derive from it the meaningfulness of a word. We don't need the background. We're going to focus upon the starting point of focus itself in this case, because the first letter is K. And K is one of the 3 sorts of starting points that you can have. The A, T, and K are the 3 first basic starting points into one point, into one focus, that are quite different. And these are the variations of realizations that you can have in one point. So you have this one point that you start to recognize, start to get to know, and so on. And that is then like your choice of a starting point, that is the A. The T is where you have a very clear position. So it's no longer a choice, it is evident that you have a quality there that you can start to build up something from it. So that's a different way of thinking. Or the focus itself, also in one point, becomes already a little bit unclear if it is a good starting point, if it's not a good spot, if it's a practical starting point, and so on. It is becoming a little bit vague as well, to be in a way that you're a bit uncertain can we use this starting point, or do I have the fixed point still there or not, or can I keep my fixed point there or not? That's the third option, and there's where the K will start from. So that's what we're going to do. We start to show you the K first. Here's the K. So you have them into one focus. I mean, first define the focus itself into one focus. Everything which is in the first 9 letters is based upon the one focus with its variations. So how can you have these variations of focus? I will also tell you how so. So if you have your eye fixed, or you can start to go to a fixed point is A. You have this fixed point very clearly is on the T, and you're no longer sure you have the fixed point is the K. Another option is, for instance, you also have these 1, 2, 3 points. So you have this point which is no longer in the middle of your focus, so it's a bit away, like you have that in K as well. But here it is into the third position, so it means we're dealing with the maximum of points that we are dealing with. So it's at the border of what we can grasp into one go. It's always 3 at the max to have still a spontaneous view upon the focus that we will need, and we will associate other things further from it. The C, M and X always all have 3 points. The C is refocusing of what I want to focus into one point, but I have 3 of them. So what we will do with 3 points, that means that there are variations. So it is at the borders as what you can still keep as one centered focus, but you have 3 different elements. Which is the most important element? From which element I can start? So you need some time there to realize, yeah, what shall I do? Of course, you will take the most apparent, what will be most clear to you with the C as well. That will be taken as a starting point, and you will deal with that. There are some variations there at the end, but you have a choice that you can within that range, that you can still keep this as a starting point of focus into one point. With K, that was the option, is that your focus itself was, so that's a 1, 2, 3 option. The focus itself was divided into 3 focuses a little bit in a way that not these 3 focuses matter, but the 3 focuses are mixed. It's as if you want to keep one focus, but it's moving a little bit, so you have in total some variations of focus. So you have a little bit of doubt, you have some questions, you don't know really, like, can I keep my focus? But of course also there you keep that one focus, most straight focus there to start from. Do you realize now the difference between K or the K as C? With the C you try to have a steady focus with the elements that you start from. Well, K itself is, you're not dealing with the elements, it's just one element that you notice, but it's your focus itself which is a bit sharpened or needs to be sharpened, so that you can keep this one focus, because it will already be a bit away from the focus as well for the first time. It's away there. You know that there's something which is already different, but I can keep a focus. At the same time, it is, you can see already a tendency to look to the diagonal position. So from a center point of focus, there's a diagonal position that drives your main focus away from a centered focus, and that's why you're no longer sure if you can keep focus. What will happen to keep that focus is that we keep ourselves aware that if we go a little bit in the diagonal sense to another point, We have to maintain a balance. And here is that balance from that center so that we can keep a balance, keep a straight focus. That's the mindset in K. You're not sure because something is different, but as long as I keep my balance of what is different, it will become like a breaking point, a right breaking point. You will not break it more than it's needed. It's just that breaking point of realization. Okay, I deal with something that is different from one center point of view. And so that means your center point of vision deals with a breaking point of attention. And this breaking point is important to understand everything that is built up with the letter K. It is like a fractal then as well, so you keep this one-centered focus intact, but it will break apart and it will break into smaller and smaller places, and you will also go more and more to a diagonal position then as well. But by keeping to follow the viewpoint, you also deal at the same time with this breaking up point, which you try to keep in balance, so that you have when you break it and you go and look to the left or also at the right, has to remain in balance, and then you can keep your focus straight. So this is K. So this is an expression of K, this doubtful focus with the three eyes, but because you're already going to a different direction, you keep that breaking point to a different direction intact. And even if you see more and more smaller things are breaking up into more pieces, you can keep your focus together, and that's the most important thing to realize, and use it all the time when you use a K. That will be that there is a balance there. It's not guaranteed because you're just it's out of focus, but it's a good idea to also keep that mindset, that don't be distracted too much by the breaking up sound of K. You can still keep it together as well. So you keep your center attention and attention, and that's even more with the sound A. If you have K, it is even more. No, I keep it from one center, go, and I'll keep that centered position intact. A in the background is also that attention can continue to remain in balance, remain in the center, which also means that the remaining center from the breaking points is also given attention. With K, it's not breaking into one position, it's breaking into a harmonious position. Kai is more, the kind is more like pronounced as Kai. This Y can be expressed in two different ways. It can be expressed as the Y or as the G. In other languages you sometimes have the G, and they are interpreted differently, but it all comes down that you deal with where things are going to, so that you can keep that balance intact, is also expressed by this Y, not sound, but actually the direction that is expressed with Y. So you keep your focus from the center, but you adapt to a certain direction so that you can keep a balance. So that's why where Kai is expressed here as well. It's written as E, so E will matter as well. So when you have this breaking point, you have this in the sounds, that you want to have a continuation in your breaking points and keep your mind together so that you can see what's going on. As E expressed, it means that, first of all, E means it's a value between 0 and infinity, where I will have a definition, and I will find what I need to do to keep a balance, and where my balance at this moment in time and space is present. So within the full range of the definition. What I'm going to do is 0 and infinity. There will be the first point, that is the breaking point. That is my goal of focus, that I can keep this focus, but in balance, of course, with my adaptation as well. I keep my centered attention in balance then also as much as I can, and my focus is getting away with the starting points of the K, but when I keep it in balance, I can have the direction, I can see how much this is breaking actually, and I have an idea how much the adaptation needs to be followed up actually. And it can be breaking up further and further, so that also means that when it breaks up further and you can see less and less, it will also be further and further away as well. The Y sound is like the balance. The Y, written as G, is described in my book as a balancing between, let's say between breaking points, so that you have as little as conflict as possible. You just try to get around it and see that you have your focus all clear until the end in both directions as well. So the Kai will do that as well. As a Y written, it is just like, okay, adapt to how much you need to adapt. So if you have further away from your center focus, and it's breaking up more and more and more, you can still keep your focus and adapt to the direction where things are going, and how you have to adapt to it. That's Ka and Kai and Ki, and that also written as Ki. So this adaptation is going on onwards and onwards, so that you can adapt to the breaking point. But of course, it's not, the I is lesser important. It's more your help. The oral thing is more like it's helping you how to keep your focus straight. But it's about E. It's written as E. So it is, the main focus is upon the E, upon the breaking, where it breaks, and it will break. In the first time or the second time, it depends how I focus actually, but it's looking to the point of the breaking point and see where is it really breaking, where is the borders of where I can see it breaking apart, breaking away, where it almost becomes something else. As you have in E also, it have a new idea, something new comes out, and I can still follow it from my center point of view. So when I really reach the point in 1, 2, 3, I have my limits of ability, how far I can still follow it, and within that range between 0 and infinity, I've reached the point where I can see, it could be earlier as well, but I can see, okay, it's up in here, it is breaking away also already. When it's breaking away and I can take out a thing as something of its own, it's expressed by the letter N. Here I can break it away from space, and it has a function, almost like a function of its own. And so, and there also I chose this point very practically. I have a point where I can have as a reference, where I can adapt to, of course, into the question mark and in the answer, question and answer at the same time. The T is that localization. So you have that localization where you have that breaking point, where it breaks apart and has something that has already a distance from its first center. In balance, of course, I have that as well. So in balance, that means you have something that is going away and breaking apart and going away from your center point of focus, but thanks to that we can keep a balance. We also have an adaptation ready and written down also in letters. The letter D means it's not just a localization, but it's also like it deals, like the D, it deals with differences, it deals with the adaptation with the D as well. It deals with it that you have two positions, the position that you follow and the adaptation to it, so that you can keep yourself to the balanced view of all the deviations that are written down here into this order of letters. So D is also about this amount of adaptation that I do so that I can keep that balance. And that's basically the foundation of the structure of kind. And you can do that in several breaking points. So the more it's breaking up, the more you can have to follow, of course, and adapt it so that you have that balance, of course. So each time when it's followed up, when it's adapted, you adapt to it as well. Expressed like this. So this is the structure underneath of kind. Now how do we, when we compare it to the two first English words that are that have a certain meaningfulness, I can say that we are talking here about an adaptation to what is breaking away already, and so that we have to be careful that we really do this adaptation well, so that all that's breaking away can be kept also intact, so that we can focus on it into a balanced way. So that performance of breaking up and how we approach it is in that way also, you could say careful. We have to care for it, that it is in balance. So it needs that soft approach, that gentle approach, that every time something changes, we adapt. We adapt immediately. We adapt as much as possible, and with the U sound, with as little as friction as possible, so that we go around it and do the adaptation. So in that way, it fits with that kindness. So to be kind is so your approach is careful. That way it still fits together. I'm not sure if you think it is a match, but you need that approach, that careful approach. The adaptation, constantly adapting to the changes and so on, according to its need, or the adaptation itself is in each section can also be compared to the moments where you say, okay, the kind of approach that you need, the kind of carefulness that you need, are all structured in this form, actually sound in form in that way as well. Different is, of course, when the pronunciation of kind is not with I, with the adaptation to the points that change, but simply with kind. And there will be not that constant adaptation, will be less important. It will more be that immediate breaking point, immediate finding that place where it is, and see that you can use it, and see that it also has its own adaptation as well. Let's see how that looks like, because it will be much more simple. Without the I, it's just one point of breaking point that we will end with in the end, the I. One point, not the continuation from one side to another, not I, just one point, where at that point in time and space it will be expressed. So wherever it will be in the deviation that you have away from the center point, it is a breaking point, K, where you have something new, and this new thing is exactly also like the kind or the child. It's broken away from the first tree, which can be compared with that with a family tree, of course, as well. It's a breaking point which is away from it, can be taken out as its own identity while still attached to the tree as well. The branch as well. So outside the branch there will be a point in the letter T that is expressed with the letter D, meaning it can have its own changes, its own performance, and despite it already is very clear that it originates from a certain tree, from a certain branch, and so on. The kind of attachment and breaking apart from it is done in such a way that it keeps that origin intact, but it's also going to perform something of its own. And I hope these were already a bit more clear. I'm not sure if this was the best explanation ever, but it brings you closer to the structure of kind or kind, and it makes an ability for you, I had opened an ability for you to understand also what these letters and letter combinations can bring forth. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks again for watching. Bye.